The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, Sri Lanka's construction sector expands by 8.5% in the second quarter, signaling strong economic growth. Port City Colombo strengthens academic partnerships to empower and nurture Sri Lanka's local talent. Sri Lanka's stock climbs amid positive investor sentiment and market optimism. And Wall Street hits record high driven by Intel's surge on Nvidia stake news.
From Studio 24C, here's Jenna Newman.
Good evening and welcome to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's construction sector grew by 8.5% in the second quarter of 2025, extending its strong recovery since late 2023. This growth signals renewed momentum in infrastructure development, contributing significantly to the country's overall economic expansion.
Sri Lanka's construction sector grew by 8.5% in the second quarter of this year compared to the same period last year, bringing in first half growth to 9.6%. This growth continues the sector's recovery that began in late 2023 after 6 quarters of decline caused by the economic crisis. Challenges such as material shortages, inflation, funding issues and labour shortages had stalled projects in previous years. The sector now plays a vital role in driving the country's economy, growing twice as fast as the overall 4.8% economic growth in the first half of 2025. Despite the government allocating 1.3 trillion rupees for public infrastructure projects this year, actual spending and project execution remain limited but show signs of acceleration.
Sri Lanka's electricity sector reforms highlighted the need to balance financial viability, sustainability and consumer protection in tariff methodology during a recent discussion with policymakers and IMF experts. The meeting, held in line with the IMF Extended Fund Facility Program, emphasized that both cost recovery and cost reflectiveness are essential to attract investment and ensure fair consumer pricing. Achieving the country's 70% renewable energy target by 2030 was a key focus, with calls for increased infrastructure, financing and incentives of solar, hydro, wind and emerging technologies. Experts warn that volatility of generation costs, especially from thermal power, possesses risks to financial stability and consumers, stressing the need for predictable tariff structures. MPs underscored protecting vulnerable households, supporting workers affected by sector restructuring, and improving data transparency and governance. Port City Colombo, Sri Lanka's first multi-services special economic zone, is strengthening ties with academia to empower the next generation of local talent and showcase its role in the nation's economic future.
Port City Colombo has launched initiatives to engage Sri Lankan universities, providing students and faculty with insights into the special economic zone's development and economic potential. Collaborations with institutions like the University of Moratuwa and University of Sri Jayawardhanapura include workshops, symposiums and innovative projects that connect academic learning with real-world infrastructure planning. The project has also hosted visits to the sales gallery, offering first-hand exposure to advanced city planning and investment opportunities. These efforts aim to encourage students to explore career prospects within Sri Lanka and contribute to the country's economic growth. Port City Colombo plans to develop an education cluster featuring an international school and university to attract learners regionally and reduce brain drain.
Sri Lanka officially launched its National Air Quality Web application on the 8th of September at the Central Environmental Authority Auditorium. The event was attended by the Minister of Environment, Dr. Dhammika Patapandige, Deputy Minister Anton Jayakodi, and other key government and environmental officials. The application was developed and powered by TrainTech Ltd and funded by the Vehicle Emission Testing Trust Fund. The platform aims to enhance air quality management by providing real-time data and greater transparency. The launch included participation from environmental regulators, student representatives and partner institutions. 2 academic lecturers were also delivered to emphasize the importance of air quality monitoring and the new digital initiative. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market closed higher today, with both major indices posting gains. Positive investor sentiment and selective buying helped drive the market upward. For further insights on this, we have Dilhari Dias from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. Continuing yesterday's buying sentiment, the Colombo Stock Exchange closed the week in the green territory, surpassing 21,000. The all-share price index posted a gain of around 120 points and closed at 21,085. Although the positive momentum was prominent, mild fluctuations were observed during the session. John Keells Holdings, Haley's, Sierra Cables, Melster Corporation and Aiken Spence were the leading positive contributors to the index. Retail participation predominantly drove today's rally, while high net worth participation was mainly seen towards banks and conglomerates. The turnover stood at 6.5 billion rupees, and this reflects a 14% decrease over the monthly average, which stands at around 7.5 billion rupees. In terms of sector-wise contribution to turnover, capital goods took the lead with a share of 33%, while diversified financial sector and banking sector followed behind with a combined contribution of 33%. The top three gainers were UB Finance PLC, Industrial Asphalt Ceylon PLC and Tess Agro PLC, whilst the top three losers were PMF Finance PLC, E-Channeling PLC and Myland Developments PLC. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's stock market saw mixed performance this week, reflecting shifts in investor sentiment and external economic cues. Key indices fluctuated as trading volumes varied across sectors. For further insights on this, we have Ranjan Ranatunga from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. Since hitting a key support of 20,300 on the SPI index, trading activity in the market saw a revitalization as the index edged up by 473 points or 2.3% compared to last week. The recovery on the index was mainly supported by the share appreciation of the banking sector and heavyweights, while towards the latter, the sentiment trickled down to small and mid-cap as well. The weekly average turnover declined slightly to 6.5 billion rupees from previous week's 7.9 billion on the back of absence in large trades. Meanwhile, on the activity front, retail, high net worth and institutional investors all were active during the week. Amongst the top traded shares and the top gainers for the week, First Capital group of companies led with gains supported with the 5 rupee dividend that was announced for FCT, while Sierra Cables also saw increased activity mainly due to the news on new tenders from the CEB. Thank you.
Gold prices ticked high in Asian trade today, remaining on track for the fifth consecutive weekly rise as the US Federal Reserve lowered interest rates earlier this week in a widely expected move. Spot gold ticked 0.2% higher to $3,650.14 an ounce after hitting an all-time peak of $3,707.40 yesterday. US gold futures for December also gained 0.2% to $3,683.70. The yellow metal fell 1.3% in the previous two sessions as the dollar rebounded from over 3-year lows after US Fed Chair Jerome Powell struck a cautious tone regarding future easing. Other precious and industrial metals traded higher on Friday, with silver futures rising 0.7% to $42.41 per ounce. Platinum futures were largely unchanged at $1,396.60 an ounce. Benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange rose 0.3% to $9,983.50 a ton, while US copper futures gained 0.2% to $4.61 a pound. Oil prices fell today as worries about fuel demand in the United States overweighed expectations that the year's first interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve would spur greater consumption. Brent crude futures were down 17 cents or 0.3% at $67.27 a barrel, and US West Texas Intermediate futures were down 19 cents, also 0.3% at $63.38 an ounce. But both benchmarks were still on track to end higher for a second week straight. An increase of 4 million barrels in U.S. distillate stockpiles, outstripping market expectations of a gain of 1 million barrels, raised worries about demand in the world's top oil consumer and pressured prices. The Sri Lankan rupee has depreciated against the US dollar today compared to yesterday. According to the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the buying rate of the US dollar has increased slightly from 298 rupees and 23 cents to 298 rupees and 27 cents, while the selling rate has also increased from 305 rupees to 75 cents to 305 rupees and 80 cents. The Sri Lankan rupee has also depreciated against a basket of foreign currencies, including Gulf currencies. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Jetwing Hotels has announced a dual-pronged strategy focusing on restoring Sri Lanka's heritage properties while laying the groundwork for future overseas expansion. Managing Director Dimitri Kure emphasized a shift towards quality-driven tourism and asset ownership.
Jetwing Hotels, one of Sri Lanka's leading hospitality brands, is pursuing a dual strategy of domestic heritage restoration and long-term international expansion. Managing Director Dimitri Kure revealed that the company is actively acquiring and restoring historic buildings across Sri Lanka, preferring ownership over management contracts to add long-term value. Notable restoration projects are already underway in Ambepussa and Jaffna, with plans for Galle and further expansion in Jaffna. While Jetwing currently operates a discrete overseas property in New Zealand, Kure emphasized that the immediate focus remains on strengthening the domestic portfolio before scaling internationally. He also urged Sri Lanka's tourism sector to prioritize quality over quantity, aiming to attract high-spending visitors rather than increasing tourist numbers alone.
Barefoot, Sri Lanka's iconic handloom brand, and Dutch luxury interiors label Polspotten are launching a landmark design collaboration debuting in 2025-2026. This is the first partnership between Sri Lanka and Polspotten, blending Barefoot's vibrant weaving heritage with Polspotten's bold contemporary design aesthetic. The project is a part of the EU-Sri Lanka matchmaking program supported by the European Union and key cultural institutions, including the British Council and the University of Arts London. The upcoming collection will reimagine Sri Lanka's hand-woven textiles and into innovative interior pieces for global luxury markets. With strong international backing, the collection aims to elevate Sri Lankan artmanship on the world stage and strengthen creative trade ties between the two nations. DFCC Bank has partnered with Ceylon Remittances to launch a secure remittance service in Japan aimed at supporting Sri Lankans abroad. The initiative enhances DFCC's global remittance network while strengthening formal financial inflows in Sri Lanka.
DFCC Bank has launched a new remittance service in partnership with Ceylon Remittances, expanding its international footprint into Japan. The service aims to provide Sri Lankans living and working in Japan with a secure, efficient and reliable channel to send money home. The launch event was attended by key dignitaries including Sri Lanka's ambassador-designate to Japan, Professor Pivithrujana Kumarasinghe, and prominent Sri Lankan business leaders. DFCC Bank emphasized the role of remittances in sustaining families and supporting Sri Lanka's economy. Both DFCC and Ceylon Remittances highlighted the importance of regulated platforms in ensuring safe transactions and boosting formal remittance inflows.
Dialogue Finance plc has launched 3 innovative features under its LazyPay smartphone financing model, marking a first in Sri Lanka. The new features include doorstep delivery of smartphones on easy installments, a buyback program for cost-effective upgrades, and a device protection scheme called Shield. LazyPay offers instant approval without credit card guarantees or paperwork, allowing customers to make minimal down payments and repay over 18 months via the Genie app. The doorstep delivery service enables customers to complete the entire purchase and finance process digitally, with phones delivered within 3 working days. The buyback program allows users to trade in devices purchased within the last 15 months to upgrade to newer models, making technology more affordable. Demo has installed Sri Lanka's first ICC-compliant LED floodlighting systems at 2 premium cricket stadiums, Rangiri Dambulla and R. Premadasa. These state-of-the-art systems enhance player visibility and broadcast quality, setting new standards for international cricket lighting in the country.
Demo has completed the installation of Sri Lanka's first ICC-compliant LED floodlighting systems at the Rangiri Dambulla International Cricket Stadium and R. Premadasa International Cricket Stadium. These advanced LED systems meet International Cricket Council standards for day, night and televised matches, supporting 4K and 8K broadcasts with uniform lighting and glare control. The floodlights feature flicker-free technology, enhancing slow-motion replays and player safety during night games. Zoned lighting control and digital dimming systems allow for flexible use during training, maintenance and special events. This installation continues Demo's legacy as a pioneer in sports lighting, building on its historic 1980s floodlighting achievements at RPICS.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Asian stock markets remain upbeat today, tracking overnight record close on Wall Street, while Japan's Nikkei reversed early gains after the Bank of Japan held interest rates steady. The broader Topix index edged 0.3% lower after rising to a new record high at 3,187.98 points earlier in the session. China's blue chip Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 gained 0.3%, while the Shanghai Composite Index traded marginally lower after losses in the previous session. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index gained 0.2%, Australian S&P ASX 200 jumped 0.7%, while South Korea's Kospi fell 0.5% after hitting a record high of 3,467.89 points earlier in the session. Singapore's Straits Times Index was largely steady, while India's Nifty 50 edged 0.2% lower at market open. Wall Street's main indexes posted record high closes a day after the U.S. Federal Reserve delivered a quarter-point interest rate cut, while chipmaker Intel rose after Nvidia decided to build a stake in the company.
Wall Street's main indexes posted record high closes on Thursday, with the Dow adding more than 0.25%, the S&P 500 climbing nearly 0.5%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq rallying nearly 1%. Intel clinched its biggest daily gain since October 1987, jumping nearly 23% after Nvidia said it would invest $5 billion in the struggling U.S. chipmaker. Shares of Nvidia rose 3.5%. The news came a day after markets cheered a 0.25 percentage point interest rate cut from the Federal Reserve. Other stocks on the move Thursday included CrowdStrike, which gained nearly 13% after at least 9 brokerages raised their price target on the stock. Shares of Darden Restaurants fell more than 7.5% after the Olive Garden parent reported weak quarterly results. And shares of cybersecurity firm Netscope soared more than 18% in their NASDAQ debut, adding to a string of successful tech IPOs this year.
Meta launched its first consumer-ready smart glasses with a built-in display seeking to extend the momentum of its Ray-Ban line, one of the early consumer hits of artificial intelligence era.
Meta has launched its latest smart glasses, and they are its first consumer-ready spectacles with a built-in display. Boss Mark Zuckerberg presented the new gadget at the firm's annual event for developers in California on Wednesday, though the tech sometimes let him down.
That's too bad. I don't know what happened.
The new gadget is dubbed the Meta Ray-Ban display and will go on sale later this month, priced from $799. It features a small digital display in the right lens for basic tasks such as notifications.
The display is large enough to watch a video or, read a thread of messages. It appears in one eye, it's slightly off-center so it doesn't block your view. And it disappears after a few seconds when it's not in use so it doesn't distract you.
But Zuckerberg is planning for a day when smart glasses can do much more. He says they are perfect devices for interacting with so-called superintelligence. That's AI that exceeds human capability.
Now, glasses are the ideal form factor for personal superintelligence because they let you stay present in the moment while getting access to all of these AI capabilities that make you smarter, help you communicate better, improve your memory, improve your senses, and more.
Meta has enjoyed some commercial success with earlier versions of its smart glasses, which also got updates Wednesday. But it's widely seen as trailing rivals like OpenAI and Alphabet in developing AI systems. The company has been recruiting aggressively in a bid to close that gap. One analyst told Reuters that Meta still had work to do in convincing people that smart glasses are a gadget they need. But he said there was scope for it to grab a big share of the market for such devices.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.8024english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We will see you again next week with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Jenna Newman. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.